Yo, hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again as usual. Thanks for dropping by for yet another chess video. It's always great to see you guys. I'm very excited today, thanks to ChessBazaar, for sending me this chess set for us to take a look at. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 1930 vintage reproduced Knubbel chess set. In this case, it's the Knubbel analysis chess set with a 3-inch king. Well, thank you ChessBazaar for sending me this awesome chess set so that we can show it off on this channel, so that like-minded people like you and me can gaze at this chess set, and just even if we don't necessarily see ourselves buying a Knubbel chess set, still it sort of adds to the variety of this channel. The color and the wood of this particular chess set, as I will show you guys here in just a minute, it is a boxwood and also stained crimson. So the difference between a painted chess set and a stained chess set is that staining process generally is a little bit deeper into the wood. If you've ever seen any types of pieces of wood being stained, it usually is basically something that kind of gets embedded into the wood. And in comparison to a painted chess set, a stained one is going to be a little bit more durable as far as the color retention of the chess set will be something that'll last a little bit longer. Now, some people I know before, when I talked about stained chess sets, I know I've showed a couple of different stained chess sets, like for example the Royal Chess Mall. I know the Dubrovnik chess set that I've shown before, the mahogany stained. You know, some people will say, well, it's not a real wood, it's a mahogany stained. But if you think about a lot of chess sets nowadays, ebonized is still kind of stained. I mean, and nobody bets an eye that it's not actual ebony. And in fact, a lot of times, ebonized chess set is not only less expensive to make, because ebony is a lot more of an expensive wood, but also ebonized chess set usually is going to be less likely to chip or break, because ebony wood is a little bit more brittle because it's a little bit more dense. There's some stained chess sets that are pretty good, and then there's some that is going to introduce some stains that might not be our cup of tea. This particular chess set is crimson, which means it's going to be red, and it is quite lovely. Now, one of the things about a stained chess set long term is you're not likely to have chips or anything like that that will expose the underside wood, which in this case I'm assuming would be boxwood. So if you drop a piece and you have a little dent in your chess set, it's still going to most likely retain its coloration. What may happen is over time, while you're playing on the particular chess set, if you're rubbing your hand against the pieces, as you would practically and normally do while you're playing your games, eventually the staining will sort of start to get a little bit faded, possibly faded over time. But it still looks nice. I mean, if we think about chess sets in general, as they age, they will become a little bit more faded in certain areas. It just gives it that extra bit of a characteristics of a chess set that's been well used. As far as the fact that this is a reproduced chess set, if you were to, let's say you were a chess collector and you were looking for the original 1930s Knubbel chess set, first of all, I'd probably say it would be kind of hard to find. Second of all, it would at this point be a wood that's already almost 100 years old, and really wouldn't be functioning well for an actual practical chess set, as opposed to, maybe like a collector's type of chess set for somebody to just collect and put it on the shelf. Because after a certain point, so many years have gone by, the wood itself kind of becomes brittle, since it's no longer alive, so it just kind of ages and dries up inside. So I think that in a lot of cases nowadays, with chess sets being reproduced or manufactured at a relatively fast rate, you can get a really nice reproduction chess set that will in many ways be either identical or very similar to what the original aspects, like for example the Dubrovnik chess set that Fischer used in a lot of his tournaments. You don't actually necessarily have to look for like the original 1960s or 1970s. You can just buy one that's been made yesterday, and it'll look and feel almost exactly the same. It'll be a fraction of the price, and you can use it for any of the games, without fearing that it's just going to fall apart on you. In addition to the Knubbel chess set that ChessBazaar has sent me, ChessBazaar also sent me this interesting folding chessboard, and I'll show you guys also a little bit up close what this looks like. At first glance, we don't see a lot of folding. The material of this particular board is going to be kind of like heavy duty, thick cardboard, so to speak. And it folds out in this like quarter-like fashion right here. And then basically you just set it on the table and you have a chessboard. A 2.25 chessboard, which looks like a wooden chessboard, more or less. It's a really nice, very well-made chessboard that retails for, I think, about $50 or so. It's a good option for somebody that's looking for some kind of a chessboard that they can carry with them, something that's not very heavy. A lot of the wooden chessboards are a little bit heavy, especially if you've seen me review some of the bigger chessboards. They can get kind of heavy. They can get up to 10 pounds sometimes, depending on the size of the board and the thickness. But in this case, this is really light. It's very light, and if you were gonna transport it, I would probably advise buying some kind of a chess bag that would reflect the size and the shape of this particular board. So you would probably be looking for something that's more square than rectangular, but overall, a solid option. Now you might ask me, like, where does this fit in with all the other chessboards that I've reviewed? I mean, we've seen me review a lot of the folding chessboards, but we have also seen me review a lot of the wooden chessboards, and each one of those boards has its advantages and disadvantages. So you might ask, like, okay, this is a little bit new and this is cardboard, or at least heavy duty cardboard. How does this fit in with, what advantages can you see yourself getting from this particular board besides just the weight, maybe compared to like a roll-up board or something? Well, one of the things that I would say is two reasons why I would think this particular board would appeal to some people. One of which is, if for any kids out there that might be wanting to get into chess, this type of board is very familiar because the way that this board opens up into this sort of a quarter thing and then it kind of folds like that, we see that a lot in like board games. So if you've played any board games either by yourself or with your kids, a lot of times something like that opens up and you have some kind of a board in there. And so the familiarity with this particular design may appeal to some kids or maybe some adults, and they may feel more familiar with using a board like this as opposed to jumping in to using a roll-up board or a fancy wooden board, especially if they're just getting into chess. So that might be one consideration. Secondly, there is one aspect of this particular board that is going to be different than, say, a roll-up board, is the fact that you can actually use wooden chess pieces or plastic chess pieces, anything that really has felt on the bottom, like in this case here, to slide it, very effectively slide your chess pieces like you would on a wooden chessboard. Think about roll-up boards. If we talk about silicone, you absolutely can't slide your chess pieces on a silicone board. If you try to slide it, the whole board just kind of wedges up. If you do it on a mousepad board, that's not really feasible that much either. If you've tried it, you would know. I mean, you can kind of slide it, but not really. Same with a vinyl board. I think the vinyl board, most of the time, is the board that's going to present with, a little more or less a little ability to slide, but still you'll have some impedance to your movement. But of course, we know one of the biggest advantages of having a nice wooden board is that nice sliding feature. If you don't want to be picking your piece up and placing it down, but rather slide and have it, play that way, this particular board will offer you that option. So that's the two advantages that I see in using a board like this. Like I said, I think on ChessBazaar, this board here retails for about $50 or so, but I will include a link below for you guys to take a look. I will also switch my camera now because you guys are probably tired of seeing me here, and just show you these pieces here up close, as well as this board, so you guys can kind of get an idea as far as what ChessBazaar has. So that way, if you are out and looking for a unique type of a chess set, something different, maybe something analysis size. Although, to tell you the truth, analysis size, I know, like I said before, analysis size, most of the analysis chess pieces are going to be kind of on the smaller size, but Knubbel chess sets themselves have never really been big, so it's kind of interesting to see them call this an analysis board. But one of the advantages of having a small chess set like this is that a lot of time it doesn't occupy a lot of space, so you can have a smaller footprint as far as the type of bag that you want to use, because you can fit a smaller chess set in a smaller bag, and it weighs a little bit less. So we're going to start out with looking at the board a little bit more closely because I feel like I'm going to take a little bit more time talking about the actual chess set. So this really nice little board here you can see reflected in the sun with a logo right over here. It says ChessBazaar, chess for everyone, made in India. So the thickness of this particular product here is, it's not super thick, but I would say maybe half an inch thick. And as cardboard goes, really nice, sturdy. Here I'm trying to bend it back and forth, really nice and sturdy, so you don't run the risk of this bending or anything. So how does this compare to like a cardboard chessboard that you would get from like Walmart or something? I'd say this is a lot more higher quality made. So here we go. We just kind of go ahead and open this up, and then we unfold it again and open this up. Now, once you set this on the table, it kind of assumes this sort of a nice, smooth surface. And for the most part, like I said before, you can slide your chess pieces freely throughout the board. Perhaps right here where it kind of is sort of close together, you might have a little bit of a feel where it's not as smooth, but I don't think your chess pieces are actually going to be impeded by this particular little area. So biggest advantage, as I said before, is just being able to slide your chess pieces readily on this like you would on a wooden board, more or less. And then you have nice notation both on top, bottom, on the sides. And I really like the color. It's like very subtle. If you guys know me, and I've talked about different chessboards before, I like when you have a nice subtle color like this, so that way it's not very straining on the eyes. They made this board to look like a wooden board, so you've got this sort of a grain here. We've got grain, and let me show you up close here if you can see it. My camera may not focus that close, but if you guys can get an idea as far as there's grain or artificial grain both on the dark pieces and the light pieces, and then there's this type of additional wood-like color here on the sides, and then on the very periphery you've got this really nice brown. So as far as the aesthetics of this particular board, I like it. I like it overall. Sturdy board, possibly going to be a good choice for some people out there. So let's take a look at the chess pieces. So here we have it, folks. As with any professional chess set, we get the extra queens. You see we are provided with those 2 extra queens, and then the Knubbel chess sets are always kind of squatty, but the base of the Knubbel chess set is always kind of big. So this, I believe, is a 2.25 inch board, and even though the chess set kind of sits low in this particular circumstance, it still occupies, on each individual square, it occupies, you know, a proportionately normal, I guess, amount of space. And it doesn't make this chess set feel too small for really any board. I would probably suggest that for this particular chess set, I would recommend probably anywhere between 2.25 inch board all the way down to probably 1.75 maybe. The king and queen do have a little bit of a broader basis, as you see here, so going too small as far as the board goes may give a, you know, a little bit of a restriction to the queen and the king. The other pieces here, the bases are not as wide, so you could probably be okay. Personally, I would say if you want to stick with a kind of a universal board, then go with the 2.25. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Let me show you these pieces up close a little bit. Alrighty, folks, so here we are. We are looking at first at the kings and the queens of this particular 1930s vintage Knubbel chess set. We can start by seeing the fact that we do have the alternating tops here, which in this particular case, the finials usually on the kings are some kind of a variation of a cross, and in this case we see that they're using sort of the Dubrovnik type of a thing where they just have the little ball, and the ball is alternating in color, so that's kind of cool. Like my other Knubbel chess set, the overall shape and the design, we have this kind of a almost like a pancake here with nice rounded edges to the very top. I kind of like the rounded edges of this particular chess set. The sharp edges of some other chess sets that I've reviewed kind of can make the chess set feel a little bit cold, but in this case it's nice. It just kind of has a nice comfortable feel overall to it. A little bit closer here, we can see all the details of this particular chess set. We've got the little bit of a deviation right here at the very top, followed by the first ring here, second ring, and third ring, and then it drops down into part of what makes up the body of this particular king, and it's not very long here. This particular part is sometimes varies quite a bit between different kings here. And finally we descend into the base of this particular king here with a few drop-offs and really nice felt on the bottom, nice thick kind of a dark green felt, which makes this particular chess set really nice on any surface, whether you're using this chess set to play on a roll-up board, on a cardboard board, or if you're buying this to play on like a wooden board. It won't make any difference. It's nice. It kind of gives it a dampening effect wherever you decide to play with this particular chess set. It's going to feel nice. It's going to feel right at home. So the alternating little top here, the little top ball, as we can see here, is also stained in crimson red, which kind of is nice. This is the first chess set that I believe that I have, which is crimson. But I know there are some other varieties that out there that some people prefer these type of red chess sets, and I think that there's definitely some appeal to the color because it does look nice. Kind of looks my first car. My first car that was a 1995 Pontiac Grand AM, which I've inherited from my sister. And then you have here at the top, and then once again it kind of the same shape. Doesn't this look nice? Hopefully my camera is going to be able to translate the colors well. It looks nice. It looks really nice. Alrighty, so we follow the kings by the queens. We can immediately see the queens are going to be a little bit shorter. Not by much, but a little bit. And once again we see that the queen, as far as the shape overall, we don't really see many sharp edges here besides the little crown here at the very top. Then we have similar lines and similar drop-offs with a relatively short body here. But what do you guys think? I think it's an aesthetic chess set. If you have seen me do the review of the House of Staunton Knubbel chess set, you have already probably expressed your opinion back then as far as what you think about Knubbel chess sets in general. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting little chess set. So we're moving on, and we're gonna introduce here the bishops. So I'm gonna set the bishops here, and just like my other Knubbel chess set, the bishops they're kind of funky looking. You know, they're kind of because it's a little slit here at the top, and then they really, as far as their shape, they look more like pawns, to be honest with you, than bishops. Because with the bishops, we usually see that the top portion somehow teardrop shaped, and we usually have some kind of a ball on top of the bishop. In this case, the ball is absent. The cut, which in most bishops actually runs diagonal, in this case runs almost vertical. And the cut is relatively wide compared to most of the other bishops. So kind of like they took a pawn and then they added some features here, and then just, you know, kind of interesting. So, and then bases, if we compare the overall dimensions of the bases, we see that both the queen and the king have very, very similar size bases, and then subsequently we see with the bishop we are running into a little bit more narrow base here. So let's go ahead. Just for the purpose of saving space, I'm going to go ahead and start moving some of these pieces out. The knights, which we see here in the middle, may be appealing to some people, and then maybe other people might find these knights not their cup of tea. But either way, we see that in comparison to the bishop, both the bases of the knights and the bishops are very, very similar. And then we have this cutoff, almost as if when they decided to make this particular chess set, they decided to make the top portion separately from the bottom, which I think that's what they did. Then they glue in the middle piece here, and you get your knight. The top portion of the knight here, we don't have a lot of details. As you can see, so we have a little bit of a cutout for the eye, and then we have the slightly open mouth here with some nostrils. Couple of lines on the side. The ears here are these back things, and then this part here where it looks like two additional ears are actually, I think, a continuation of the mane in the back here. So it's kind of a narrow body. See, The knight itself is, even though here it looks like it's more, you know, wide, when you turn it this way, it's kind of made a little bit narrow. And I think that the reason why it's been made like that is just for the ergonomics of it. So you make it nice and narrow, it's easier to grab like this, and you don't have any projections within the narrow aspect of it, so that you don't run the risk of like grabbing it somehow and mispositioning it or something like that. So that's kind of neat. What do you guys think about this knight? Up close here is the dark knight. Once again, the crimson color of it really stands out. I'll try to actually show you guys the pieces under the sun here in just a minute. Following the overall theme of this particular chess set, the rooks are also not super tall. In fact, they're kind of squatty like the rest of the pieces of this chess set. We have extra details. Usually we don't see these little lines here on most of the rooks. This part here is usually pretty smooth. But just like the bishop, the knight, the rook's base is very similar in size and shape. And then we have the rest of the knight, which kind of looks a little bit smaller. If we look up close here, these little lines are actually kind of cut into, so it kind of gives that rook a little bit of a three-dimensionality. It's really neat. On the top here we have 4 cuts that are a little bit wide, and then one of the things here is that the middle part right here is flat, so it's flat horizontal. But then it kind of goes upwards at an angle here, if we see up close. Not that these little details would really matter a whole lot, it's just that we see different things going on here at the top with all different kinds of rooks. So I just wanted to point out that this is the configuration of this particular rook. And then finally we have the pawns. The pawns are going to be a little bit small. In fact, the pawns are pretty small overall. The top portion of the pawn is almost kind of a little ball or a circle, and then it drops into a relatively small body, and then the base, surprisingly for the size of the top of the pawn, the base is disproportionately large. But if the base was small with the rest of the pawn, it would actually probably make this pawn very unstable. The base, which also has a little bit of weight like the rest of the pieces are, it makes the overall pawn here pretty stable, even though the top of it doesn't look that large. And the very top portion here, even though it's a little bit smaller than what we've come to expect, it's still very much so playable. And it feels good in hand ergonomically. I mean, you grab the top here and it's fine. So, yeah, overall, really nice, unusual, but nice pawn. Give you guys a second to admire how this chess set sits on the board, all set up. It's nice. Like I said, I really like this crimson color. I've never had crimson chess sets before, but given that now I have this particular chess set, the red here isn't super strikingly red. It's kind of a dark red type of a look, and it feels well. I mean, you know, we're so used to having dark brown and light beige that sometimes something new may feel unfamiliar and strange, but if you take time to get used to it, it may feel very much so like a chess set that you've always wanted to have. This is what this particular crimson stained chess set looks like under sunlight conditions. I think it looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? So here's the queen, and here's the bishop, and then here's the king. Last time I did something like this when I was giving you guys a presentation of how blood rosewood looks like in sunny day condition, and I had a lot of people that said that it looks really nice, but I feel like this also looks really neat. And here's the rook. Pretty cool. It's a really nice chess set. It's a fully functional chess set. It may look unusual, especially to a lot of people that are used to always seeing Staunton shaped chess sets, and I feel like for 95% of the time the Staunton shaped chess sets predominate the chess set market. Maybe you're a collector of chess sets and you want to purchase yourself, you know, a piece of chess history, so to speak. But not only that, you'd want something that you can also use to play games on, not just something that you can keep on your shelf. I feel like in this particular case, this is an inexpensive option to get something that you might enjoy. And also overall, the shape of the Knubbel chess set is I feel like very much so applicable to like kids. If kids want to play chess sets, like if you, for example, want to introduce a chess set in your home and you have some kids and you want to be able to play with them, well, kids, especially younger kids, have smaller hands, so they would probably appreciate a smaller chess set that's easier to grab, as opposed to maybe like a 4.4 Staunton chess set or something like along the lines of the 1852 Paulson chess set that I have. That's a big chess set, maybe a little too big for some kids. But in this case, with it being a little bit kind of squatty, a little bit smaller, easier to grab, easier to maneuver, and still stable. Still functional, looks great, and you know, it's a nice little chess set. So I'm going to leave you guys the links below. Also, leave me in the comments, let me know in the comments below what you think about this particular chess set. What do you think about the board? Do you own a Knubbel chess set? What do you think about yours? Where did you get yours? Did you get yours off of House of Staunton? Do you have the original one? Did you get yours off ChessBazaar? Because I know ChessBazaar isn't the only place that sells these. So anyways, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.